the voice, the body is like a flute. So we are singing with the human flute. It's the sound of the flute. There is Baul song. Dhonnoyami bashite tor আপন মুখের ফুঁক একবার জনে ফুরাই যদি নাই রে কোনো দুঃখ. That, oh, it's such a wonder that I am your breath plays through my body flute. And if one day this flute stops, I will not have any regret because it is you who played through me.
Today we have a very special episode of the Sounds of Sand podcast. I'm in conversation with Baul teacher, singer, and performer Pavarthy Baul. And in this episode, we'll hear about the deep wisdom of the ancient Baul lineage from Bengal, India, and true to the essence of how the Baul teach and share in the wisdom. We are all blessed today to have Pavarthy sing live for us throughout the course of the interview. So it's such a treat. All today on the Sounds of Sand podcast presented by Science and Nonduality.
Welcome to Science and Nonduality. What is non-duality?
The universal forces.
It's the collective consciousness.
Being aware.
Trauma is not the external event that happens. Trauma is the impact of that event, which is the disconnection from ourselves.
That matter is energy. Energy is matter. That's what EMC squared is about.
There's a language without nouns. There is a language without subjugation. There's a language without objectifying.
But if it's recorded, then there is a collapse. But if it's not, then it's the infinite potentiality.
Right, I'm here with Parvathy Baul on the Sounds of Sand podcast. Thanks so much for being with us today.
It is so wonderful to return to sand. And my greetings to all those who are listening.
What I'm often interested in is not so much the backstory, because I think there's plenty of places online where people can hear the story of how you came to Baul music and your path. And perhaps we'll get into that as we talk. But I'm just curious in this moment in your path, where you are now, what is the song for you that wants to be sung, that you're singing?
Oh, right now I have immersed myself in the poet Chandidas, and I am discovering so many new things. Chandidas was a poet who lived in end of 14th century until the middle of 15th century. That is, he left his body in 1477. And Chandidas Padavali is a very important. Padavali means the many, like it's a collection of poem. That is Padavali. And there are two sections in his writing. One is Shringaratmika, that is about Radha and Krishna. And the second one is about Ragatmika Sahajya, which is about Sahaja. And Ragatmika, it has both the meaning. Of course, musically it is Raga, that is the mode of the singing. And another one in the spiritual path, Raga is the path of love. So this is the most important section of poem which is used by the Baul masters. Even today when they teach, they take example of these padas. And in the Baul gathering, when we have meals together, because serving the prasad is one of the most important part, because when we serve prasad, it is equal to serving to a deity in human form. So that is a very prolonged process. And here, all these padas, these dohas, these couplets are sung or spoken during the meal. And this is how also the Baul masters, they exchange with each other the state of teaching. And right now I have immersed myself in finding all those old ragas that was used in these padas. And it's very slow work. But I would love to share something with you if you would like to listen. But before that,
I would, yes.
I will tell you the meaning of this. So, one who has expanded himself in the whole universe, who can see him? One who knows the path of love, he can find. Piriti, this word is the most important word in the Ragatmika Sahajiyapad. That is the seed for also the Baul practitioners. It means love. From the word, the Sanskrit word preet, it has come. So Piriti, 3 letters, akhoro. The letter, it means that something that cannot be, when we say letter, it cannot be broken further. So Piriti cannot be, it is the seed or the essence of the entire wisdom. রসমার্গে যেইজন ভজিবে প্রাপ্তি হইবে তার. One who will do the bhajana or do the sadhana in the path of love. When we say path of love, it's not a simple love. It's not the love of man and woman, and it's not the love of the worldly love, which is always changing and breaking down sometime together, and also full of judgment. This love is a state of being. This love we have to cultivate. We have to work spiritually to bring that Shakti or energy of that love. The image is of Radha and Krishna when they are united. So how do you translate that into our human plane? Because we are made of this Panchabhautik Sharira, that is all these 5 elements. Our mind is fragile, our body is fragile, everything is fragile. Today we are here, tomorrow we'll die. How do you bring down this essential love that is called piriti in the human experience? Baul took the path of yugala sadhana, that is practicing in couple. By cultivating this love, they are through the yoga and bhakti, this yoga marga that has to be received from the guru, and the male and female practitioner, through their physical energy, they transform this into a plane of kamhin without desire. It starts from the wish. So P is like, there is a beautiful, also in the Vedas, in the Rig Vedas, it is said, how did this universe happen? Because Baul said, what you see in the universe is in this body. Whatever is in this body, it is in the universe. Then the question comes, how did the universe happen? Veda is asking that question. And then it says it is from the cosmic water. So even this cosmic water is also the image where the Vishnu lies. Vishnu is lying on the Ananta Shayana in the Yoga Nidra on the cosmic water. This cosmic water is the source that holds the seed of creation. And this cosmic water is there in the human body. Otherwise, we cannot create. There are human born from us. Again, it continues. So this essence of creation is there in the human body. So the piriti is how piriti came to our experience from this cosmic water. If we understand philosophically, mentally, we have an image. But Baul is not only about in the mind or intellectually perceiving it. It is also about bringing the experience in the body. Because we say, unless it is in the body, without practice, it is not possible. So you have to work with the element you have. You have 5 elements, and you work with that. First, you understand your body. Where is this cosmic water? And then you go deeper into the yoga of the body. And you become, like you control or master your mind, you master your body. When the mind and body both are in beautiful harmony, definitely one experience Piriti. Oh, I was telling you just the meaning of the song, but in one line I got stuck. So now I'll go to the next line. মৃত্তিকার উপরে জলেরও বসতি, তাহার উপরে ঢেউ. So above the earth there is water. And beyond that there is the wave. Above the wave there is the place of love. Does anyone know? Piriti is known by the rasika, the connoisseur, the lover, who brought that rasa, that cosmic water, into our body. The one who brought it, he left all. And he became in couple, in Yugala, Lakshmi and Narayana, and he lived in Goloka. Leave away your worldly attachments. Commit to the path of the Guru. If you follow the love, Piriti, you will find him. Just think about it for once. So if you commit, you find. For that, the price, you have to leave all the attachments. So Piriti is 3 letters and it is 3 kinds. But when it becomes solid inside and more intense and more united, it becomes one. After doing all the upasana, after doing all the practice, when one has become a master or perfected in the method of the practice, after that only the wish for love, the true love, will come. And Chandidas says, one who has such a wish, I hold his feet in my heart. Because all the vichara, all the judgment, all the practice, everything is before this. When one becomes in that state of love, there is no difference for him. There is no jati kuloman, the pride or ego or boundaries, nothing exists. Everybody is own. It's a family that becomes. Everything your own and nothing is your own. প্রেম পীরিতি যে জন জানয়ে, প্রেম পীরিতি যে জন জানয়ে, সেই সে পাইতে পারে গো সখী, সেই সে পাইতে পারে। ব্রহ্মাণ্ড ব্যাপিয়া আছয়ে যে জন, কেহ না দেখয়ে তারে। প্রেম পীরিতি যে জন জানয়ে, প্রেম প্রীতি যে জন জানয়ে সেই সে পাইতে পারে গো সখী, সেই সে পাইতে পারে। প্রীতি প্রীতি তিনটি আখর, প্রীতি ভজন সার। রাগ মার্গে যে জন ভজন করিবে প্রাপ্তি হইবে তার গো সখী, প্রাপ্তি হইবে তার। মৃত্তিকার উপরে জলের বসতি, তাহার উপরে ঢেউ, তাহার উপরে প্রীতি বসতি, তাহার উপরে প্রীতি বসতি। তাহা কি জানয়ে কেউ গো সখী, তাহা কি জানয়ে কেউ। রসিক হইয়া রসের প্রীতি রসিক জানয়ে, রসয়ুদ্গারী লোকে। সকল ত্যাজিয়া যুগল হইয়া, সকল ত্যাজিয়া যুগল হইয়া, গোলকে রহিল সে গো সখী, গোলকে রহিল সে। পুত্র পরিবার সংসার যাপন সকলি ত্যাজিয়া দেখো, প্রীতি করিলে তাহারে পাইবা, প্রীতি করিলে তাহারে পাইবা। মনেতে ভাবিয়া দেখো গো সখী, মনেতে ভাবিয়া দেখো। প্রীতি প্রীতি তিনটি আখর, প্রীতি ত্রিবিধ মত। ভজিতে ভজিতে নিগুড় হইলে, ভজিতে ভজিতে নিগুড় হইলে, হইবে একই মত গো সখী, হইবে একই মত। পরকিয়া ধন সকল প্রধান, যতন করিয়া লই। নৈষ্ঠিক হইয়া ভজন করিলে, নৈষ্ঠিক হইয়া ভজন করিলে, পদ্ধতি সাধক হই গো সখী, পদ্ধতি সাধক হই। পদ্ধতি হইয়া রসয়া সারিয়া নৈষ্ঠিক প্রবৃত্তি হয়। তাহার চরণ হৃদয়ে ধরিয়া দ্বিজ চণ্ডী দাসে কয় গো সখী, দ্বিজ চণ্ডী দাসে কয়।
Beautiful. Thank you so much. Can I describe my experience listening to that?
Yes, yes.
So when I was listening to the sort of philosophy behind it, I really got the idea of the embodying of through music, that it was only the only way to really express truly the meaning of what you're speaking about is in vibration, because the only way to receive the music is fully with the body. And I was really listening with my full body and feeling all the resonances and all the intricacies of how you were playing, how you were singing, while still, almost like the concepts that you were speaking about were sinking into the body and becoming known. It's really beautiful. And this is basically the Baul tradition, right? This is how the knowledge is transmitted, only through, as Victor Hugo said, music expresses that which cannot be put into words and that which cannot remain silent.
See, the Baul is so experiential, its process is so experiential that many things that we can know only up to a certain extent, that can be written down or that can be spoken. But then there is a space which is abacto. We say it's called abacto, where no words can express. And that we learn from the teacher by observing, being in the sannidhyam. Sannidhyam is a word that, staying close to your master, living with the master. And that's how you slowly through the years, you receive something with your body, which is without words. So yes, so through the music, it works very well, because then you have it's not only words, the sound, it stretches. So you stretch the time as well. When the time is stretched, your mind is stretched.
Yeah.
And then it becomes a meditation. You meditate on what is the teaching. So music is so essential for this.
Yeah, it's this paradox because music is it's a time-based art form, because it takes, things happen and evolve over time. But somehow it's also very timeless, because I think we've all had the experience of really being immersed in a piece of music that's maybe an hour long, but it feels like only a few seconds have passed, or the opposite happens, where a really fast piece of music, we can get into all of the minute details of it, and you think that it lasted 10 minutes, but it was only. So it's a wonderful gateway to the sacred. So thank you for sharing that. And I guess in terms, since this is audio only, in terms of the mechanics, just to let people know, so you're playing all the instruments and you're singing, obviously. Could you describe briefly the instrumentation of the Baul, of the music that you present?
So you can hear this sound. This is called ektara. It has only one string. But we say this is the yantra of the Baul. The yantra has two meaning. One means it's a musical instrument. Another one is a cosmic form that attracts or brings down the cosmic energy that is there in this world. We say that my master used to say, we are the carrier of ektara. The Bauls are the carrier of the ektara. Ektara remains. The carrier changes. The sadhakas come and go. But this instrument, it has been played by many generations through thousands of years. And this ektara is not for any other purpose. It is only for the teachings of the Baul. You will not find this instrument in any other tradition. But there are different kinds of ektaras all over India. But always you will find it in the hands of saints. You'll find ektara in the hands of Mirabai, Surdas, the Bhakti poets, and the Siddhas of the south. You will find ektara. And all the vachana, all the couplets, all the dohas, even from the Nath Parampara, the dohas, that is sung with the ektara. So my Guruji used to say, my Guru Sanatan Baba used to say, that you do sadhana of ektara, and ektara will bring you all the knowledge. Because ektara has all the knowledge. It has been played for years. She knows everything. You just keep on singing and listen, keep on listening to the sound of ektara. It will bring you what you need for your spiritual path, for your growth, inner growth. When my Guruji gave me the ektara, he said to me that now you don't decide where you eat, where you sleep, where you sit. It is ektara who decides. You just follow the ektara. And he gave me a name, Veena Das, the eternal slave of Veena. And Ektara is known as Ekatantri Veena, one string Veena. Then you hear this sound. This is called Dugi. It's a small clay drums made of clay and leather. It is so small because Baul is always singing and dancing. They cannot play a very big instrument, so it is tied to the hip. And we say that we are trying to imitate the sound of thunder, the sound of the sky. Then the sound of Nupur. This is one sound, and there is another sound. What you hear is a sound of dancing feet of the Baul. When we dance, we are using this. And this is from the image of the bees. Because in the Ashtasattvic sound, there are 8 sounds. One sound is of the bees, another sound is of the thunder. And also to imagine the dancing feet of the goddess or Sri Krishna. So we have this image in our sadhaka, many sadhakas since my childhood, that when you are in deep meditation, you hear these sounds. Even you hear the sound of the dancing feet. So these are the main instrument of the very ancient style of the Baul. But then later we had many other instruments coming. We have string drum, we have shrikhol, flute, and dotara, which is a lute. Many other instruments when there are more people playing. So each one can choose their instrument, what they want to play.
Beautiful. Thank you for sharing all that. And the demonstrations, the sound demonstrations, and each one sounds like it points to a deeper cosmic mystery for the reasons that it was chosen.
Yeah, because when we sing and dance, we need to meditate into something. And we are working with the sound and the breath. So all these images, all this, it's like your ayudha, your weapon. And you get into this, see, there is homa, there is puja, and you generate energy. For us, Bauls are these padas. These padas are our mantras. This musical instrument is all the upacharas, all the things that you need for the ceremony, for the ritual. And it is entirely a ritual. But it's a ritual in the sense of meditative ritual. It is not a ritual to bring a certain result immediately there. But it's a ritual to orient yourself into the deeper state of mind and body.
Okay. Yeah, well, and obviously the voice too is also the key instrument in what you're sharing, and it feels like the instrumentation almost calms the body, opens the heart, and allows the mind to hear deeply what you're saying and within the words, the content of your words.
The voice, the body is like a flute. And so we are singing with the human flute. It's the sound of the flute. There is Baul song, Dhonnoyami Bashite Tor. কিরকম ছিল সুর? না, ধন্যয়ামি বাসিতে তোর আপন মুখের ফুঁক, এক বাজনে ফুরাই যদি নাই রে কোনো দুঃখ. That, oh, it's such a wonder that I am your breath placed through my body flute. And if one day this flute stops, I will not have any regret because it is you who played through me.
Oh, it's so beautiful. Yeah, and what I'm sensing is woven so deeply into the Baul practice, and something that I think is hard for Western audiences and Western styles of thinking is the idea of devotion and surrender. I know you've traveled and performed in the U.S., for example, and we're very proud, independent people. We think I do everything myself. I don't need anyone. I don't need to surrender to anyone. I don't, devote myself to anyone. I'm a strong, independent person. So, could you speak a bit about the practice of devotion and surrender? You mentioned, I think, your guru. What was the phrase? Eternal slave as the name for your instrument. Was that correct? Is that what you said?
Yeah. Eternal slave of Ektara or the Veena.
Yeah.
You see, it's a very wrong idea of the strength. To think that I am the doer. We are not the doers. We think we are. The surrender, the devotion is not of weakness. Because this word, when you hear, you get fear. Oh, I have to surrender or I have to submit. What will happen to me? But basically, you are becoming bigger by surrendering. Are you surrendering to a human or to anything? You are surrendering to this beautiful harmony that is divine in everything. You are surrendering to the source of the creation. You are surrendering to understand who you are. What is your purpose here? Bhakti makes us learn better. In any of the schools, we have so many schools of Vedanta, of Tantra, of Vaishnavism, or Siddhas, anywhere. Everyone has said, without bhakti, you will never arrive. When you do your sadhana, you can become very proud of yourself. The people in the West, they may not have done the sadhana, but they have acquired a lot of power by winning many battles. They have won the economic world, and they also have made a lot of scientific progress. For that, they have gathered this feeling of I am the doer or the ego, or thinking, oh, I am in charge of myself. In India, in the spiritual way, I'm not saying it is about the country. I think it is about the people and their experience. In the spiritual path, if you do your sadhana, your mantra anusthana, that you're chanting, your meditation, to acquire power, the spiritual power, more and more. Suppose you're very greedy for knowledge, you want more and more information, you want to become the most intellectual spiritual practitioner, you want to dominate every spiritual master showing miracles. This can bring ego because you acquire power. When we practice every day what our Guruji's taught, you do a pranam to Guru, to the master who gave you this knowledge, because not everybody becomes Guru. We say Guru in Sri Krishna Chaitanya Charitamritam. Krishnadas Kaviraj has said that Guru is a chosen vehicle for the divine. So treat your Guru like the divine. And the Guru also has to overcome the human qualities and find the divinity inside. So first we bow to the Guru in our practice. And when we end all of our practice, we will say mantra hinam kriya hinam bhakti hinam janardana. That, hey, O divine, I do not know mantra. I do not know tantra. I do not have bhakti. I do not know anything. Anything that I have done, I surrender to you. Both my good deeds and bad deeds. Everything I give it to you. So this is the attitude. And when you have this inside your being, so many things grows. You can have the results of your listening grows. You are able to understand the person who is next to you. Your listening capacity grows. Your seeing capacity grows. So bhakti is most essential for our spiritual progress. If you say about, oh, it is weakness, what about Hanuman? Hanuman, he can cross the sea, he can bring a mountain, he can fly, he can even bear the fire, he can swallow the sun. But he is always keeping his hand folded at the feet of his Lord. He is the most courageous warrior. In the Baul songs we say, Bhakto chilo bir Hanuman, ও তার হৃদ মাঝারে রাম জানকী করিল যে স্থাপনা ভক্তি বিনে সে ধন মেলে না. Without bhakti, you will never find that wealth. The Bir Hanuman, even though he was a courageous warrior, by planting the image of Sri Ram and Sita in his heart, he found the wealth of this piriti bhakti. So those who say that bhakti is something they have doubt, I ask them to think twice.
Think twice and listen. You mentioned listening,
Yeah.
and as we said earlier, so much of the power and the essence of the teaching comes through the music itself, not from reading the text.
Yes. Yeah. In Baul it is like this.
One of the things I read was that it said that the Baul tradition originated from a time that is unknown beyond what human history can trace. Would you mind tracing some of the lineage of how the Baul music integrates Sufism and Hinduism and different musical and spiritual traditions together?
It has gone through so many changes, the Baul tradition. We do not know who is where it started, the year and all the history, because it was an oral tradition. We call it Folgu Nodir Dhara. That is the internal river that is flowing, the underground river. Because Baul sadhana is Gujjhati Gujja sadhana. It's a sadhana that is not spoken, as I said, abhyakto, which is something that cannot be expressed with word. So these sadhakas, they mostly like hermits. They retreated into deep villages in small akharas or the ashrams. There have been wonderful, beautiful sadhaks all over the Bengal. Even now, I get so much surprised every day to find a new sadhaka, and he's so deep and he has gone so much deep. And we don't even know about him or her. So there have been incredible practitioners living all over this land, and we don't even know it. But we know their spiritual energy is there in this land. And this is why we say that if you do sadhana here, you will receive their message or their teaching. So when I asked my master who was the first Baul, his answer was Shiva. And from the Shiva came two streams. One is the Shastriya, that is with text. You have a clear method, the Vedas, the Agamas, everything came. And then another path that is connected to this mysticism or this abhakto, something that is not expressed with the words, something that is connecting to these cosmic layers that is not seen with the physical eye. So Baul belonged to the other one, the one that connects to this unseen, unspoken world. Then we have to jump right after that into the Natha Siddhas. They were the Shaivas, the Shiva worshippers. In that, we find a lot of dohas. And those ragas that was used in the dohas, because you find the mention of the raga is still used in the Baul parampara, even today. There were Siddhacharyas, they were known as 84 Siddhas. It doesn't mean that there was only 84 Siddhas. It means one who is freeing himself through his sadhana from all these 84 million times of birth and death. One who cuts that cycle is 84 Siddhas. And they are also considered in the Tibetan Buddhism as the great masters like Kanhopad, Shorohopad, Bhushukupad. And the songs they wrote, it is known as Charyagiti. This is the old form of the Baul songs. And the ragas that is mentioned there is also something that we use even today. Some of them are lost, but many of them are there. Then comes the poets like Chandidas, the next group of poets. And before Chandidas was Jayadeva and after Chandidas. And they brought again a different way of singing called Padavali, Vaishnava Kirtan. That is a very much like a Dhrupada music.
Troubadour?
Drupad. Drupad is the very ancient style of Indian classical music.
Mm-hmm.
From that, they developed a singing style which is like a storytelling.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what I sang, the song, what I sang in the beginning.
Yeah.
And then after came Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and his Parshads, means all his disciples. From there on, there was a change. Because many things changed in historically in Bengal. The fakirs came, and most probably it is the Sahadardiya who were the first fakirs coming from Afghanistan, and they made Shah Jalal Dargah in Sylhet in Bangladesh. That was the beginning. Mm-hmm. And then it became a unique blend of the Sufi Islam and Vaishnavas, the Bhakti.
Mm-hmm.
The Sufis and Fakirs were singing of Radha and Krishna, and the Bauls were receiving them as their teachers. And they held the harmony of this land for centuries. During this time, the Baul sadhakas were more close to the community. They started making their akharas by the village. They started going for Madhukuri, which is singing Nama Sankirtana to every household, and collecting alms like the Bauddha Vikshus. Because that's how a Baul lived. By receiving alms. Baul cannot do a job. Baul cannot be an employee. But Baul is a servant of the divine. And there is always abundance. You will never hear a Baul say that I didn't eat today.
Right.
No matter what, if you are the slave of Ektara will make sure that you have everything.
Beautiful.
And then you have to completely live on this abundance of the divine. So they became very close to the community. Baul is very popular all over the Bengal.
Mm-hmm.
And the large part of Bengal is the Bengal villages. And there you will not find a single in the whole Bengal, in Bangladesh, you will never find a person who doesn't know about Baul song or doesn't know a Baul. It is never like that. And then the music, once they came close to the community, they felt the need of communicating with them in a more simple way. So they received the folk music that they followed. They followed the folk music pattern, which was most popular for the people. So these teachings, they were sung in this folk music styles called Bhatiali, then Chumur, then Fakiri, all these kind of different names.
Is that typically in Europe, the idea of sacred music can only be done in a church. It was very much like you needed to be on the holy grounds of the church to hear, to connect with God. You could pray at home, but in general, singing was reserved and the music was reserved for the church setting. But with the Baul tradition, you're able to summon and be in contact with the sacred and the divine. It seems anywhere. There's not a holy. I mean, obviously you're in an ashram and there's temples and things like that. But the fact that you can bring those,
for your sadhana, you need a protected place for sure. You need a ashram. But the work of the Baul is to see the divine in all beings, to see divine everywhere. Because what we said, that the cosmic water is not only somewhere unknown. It is there because whatever we see in the universe is there in this human body. And as I said in one of that when we sing these dohas during the meals, because when we serve another sadhaka or anyone who comes to the ashram, it is equal to serving to the deity. Because we say the human form is the God, or the divine is in human. So that is so there is what is not sacred and what is sacred. Everything is sacred. That's what Baul say.
So for listeners that are interested in learning more about Baul and your work, you have a book, correct? The Baul Premik book?
Yes, but it is in Bengali.
Oh, it's not in English. Okay,
it
so
is
first
going
they have
to
to
be
learn
in
Bengali.
English in 1 year. It
Okay.
will be available next year, so people have to be patient and waiting. But they can go to the online akhada. There is a website called parvathybaul.com, and people can join the online akhada, and there are many lessons also they can take about these padas or the poem. And there is an archive, there is a library. They can go, and there are many material about Baul. There is also a book which is in English, another book called Song of the Great Soul, and it is a good introduction for somebody who is very fresh, new. Baul Premik next year.
Okay. Well, you'll have to come back to the podcast next year and we can talk about the book when it's out.
Yes, I look forward.
Yeah. And do you have any tours or anything? Are you?
Oh yes, I have many tours. Actually, I just finished a 3 months tour in Europe, and then again I will be in Germany in Just Love Festival, which is organized by the Vishwananda community and Bhakti Marga community. And then I have few more tours in September and August end. Then I have again in November I have a Japan that I'm looking forward, because I'll be going to all the ancient places in Japan of the Buddhist practice. and they are very old paramparas, and go and sing to those places.
And when you're in a concert setting like that, because obviously what you're doing is much more than entertainment. You're basically teaching these ancient wisdom and expressing the deepest teachings of love, of universal love. How do you navigate that? Do you feel that you're able to express that, or do you have to explain to the audience what I'm doing is not? I'm not just singing some, a traditional song. This is a deeply spiritual practice for me.
It's an interesting question. Because how can I say, I'll be truthful to my words, that to sing as a performer was not my intention at all. I came to the Baul because for the love for the Baul songs and Baul teachings. And I wanted to be a practitioner of Baul, sadhaka of the Baul. I was very reluctant to sing for people. But one time it happened that a circumstance happened that I sing in public. And then it starts coming one after the other. But in my travel, I discovered that the concept about Baul was not clear in people's mind, be it in Bengal or anywhere in the world. My master, I saw that, and I was very young. I was in my early 20s, and I was very sad to know that people think that it's just a music. It is not, they don't see the yoga behind, they don't see the practice behind. So I said it was not the right representation of the Baul. And I went back to my teacher, Sanatan Baba, and I told him about I expressed. Then he said, okay, then you go around the world and sing the song and tell the meaning. Then I said, I'm just a student, how I will go? I don't have any, bank account in that way. So then he said, yes, you need currency, right? So he put his hand in his bag and he took out 10 rupees note. 10 rupees, and he gave it to me. And he said, here is the money. You go around the world. And since then, I'm traveling. And I'm doing this very humbly. I never wanted to project myself as someone who is a spiritual practitioner or something like that. For me, most important was to bring the attention of the people towards what was the teaching. I didn't want to take a seat of a teacher or practitioner and have, approach it in that way. First of all, there was so much misunderstanding about the Baul tradition. And I was just a unknown woman from some hidden part of Bengal. Why should people listen to me? They will come to listen only when they get something nice, and that was music. So I remained as a performer because this is the only way I could go to the people. So I kept singing to any concerts that came. And when I think about it now, because now I have kind of freed myself from that plane of music, of concert music in a way, I am more free to do that. But at one point of time, I was not free to do that. I had to receive what was coming. And I received it. And today, you see, somehow people listen to what I say. It's because they like my music. And because I became well-known, very well-known as a musician, so people start listening to what I am saying. If I was just saying, nobody would listen to me previously. So first I had to bring all the attention to me as the star. And then I start telling about the stories of Baul. But it is in a humble way. This was what possible for me to do. And I did it in this way.
Yet showing that the path of bhakti is not, you never know what that path is. For you, it was becoming a music star. That was the surrender that you had to do to serve the guru.
Yeah, this is something very interesting. You don't know what kind of game he's going to play with you.
Sure. Do you remember that first song that you said you performed first? Which song that was?
That was such a long time ago. I sang. It was a full concert. But yes, I will sing something from that time I used to sing. Tore rang dilo ki sona dilo para koire dekhli na আর গুরু তরে কি ধন দিল সিনলি না মহানায়ার গুরু তরে কি ধন দিল সিনলি না মনা গুরু দিল খাঁটি সোনা রাং বইলে তোর জ্ঞান হইল না ওরে দিন কানা উপাসনা বিনে কিত यार गुरु तरे की धन दिल सिनली ना मना यार गुरु तरे की धन दिल सिनली ना मना চণ্ডীদাসার রজকিনী এরাই প্রেমের শিরোমণি রাং কইরাছে সোনা এরাই এক মরণে দুইজন মহিলা মরণে দুইজন মহিলা এমন মরে কয়জন গুরু তরে কি ধন দিল সিনলি না মনা তোরে রাং দিল কি সোনা দিল বড় কইরে দেখলি না গুরু তরে কি ধন দিল সিনলি না মনা The song says that Guru has offered you both, the gold and the copper. Both shines. It is your choice to know what is more important.
Thank you. I think that's a beautiful place to leave it for today. A beautiful place to close. Thank you so much for the gifts that you offer, your voice, your teaching, your presence on behalf of the Sand community. Thank you so much.
So lovely to speak to you, Michael. You get so immersed in your talk, the way you are conducting the whole thing. You are totally immersed in this satsang. It's very lovely to see you.
And thank you for listening to The Sounds of Sand. We invite you to explore more of our talks, dialogues, videos, articles, events, and offerings through our website, scienceandnonduality.com. If you've enjoyed this conversation, please consider becoming a member to access our massive library of Sand content, available exclusively to Sand members. And we would love it if you could leave us a review on Apple Podcasts, Google, and Spotify, and share this episode with your family, friends, and all sentient beings. Be well.